It's amazingly 255 every year, which is every business day. It's just very coincidental. So yeah, if you put 90 career seekers on top of the 255, there's 300 blasts of the CMS-SIG out to the 900 people in a year's time. I would receive an email that says, I'm looking for a machined part. It needs to be aluminum. It's got 37 features. You need to be ITAR certified. You need to be ISO certified for medical. And it's the size of a baseball. That's all I need. I don't want a blueprint. I don't want a JPEG. Because when I send out that simple request, the 900 people take a look at it and they go, can I handle that many features? Can I handle that many components in aluminum right now on my shop floor, yes or no? If the answer is no, they hit delete. If the answer is yes, then they either reach out to me or to the interested party, depending on who put out there. But it's as simple as sending Kent a simple 2 to 5 sentence email with no attachments. Well, you might say it was very parochial. He knew the guy down the street because he did grinding that this guy doesn't do. But all of a sudden, now you need black oxide, but I don't know anybody that does black oxide. Now, where do I go? I can go to Google and type in black oxide, and then I don't end up getting what I want very quickly. I get a whole smattering of other things. So when they come to their association and saying, I'm looking for a black oxide finish on my aluminum parts, who should I use? It's a mini survey from 900 people. And so when they vote for Gladish finishing, I'm not going to pick on a particular TMA member because that could get me in trouble. If Gladish finishing gets 7 votes from 7 members, then hey, they must do a pretty good job. And so that's why the members like to use the CMS-SIG program for finding a resource, whether it be for components that they need machined, or a finish they need put on, or re-roofing their building, or polishing their floors, or. It's just about anything that a small to medium-sized manufacturer bumps their head up against the wall and says, I need a resource to do that. I don't want to research it. It's not in my wheelhouse. I'll go to Kent and the CMS-SIG and let my brothers and sisters tell me who I should use. I say it as simply as members in the association want to help members in the association. We're all in this crazy place called Illinois, and we want work to stay here in Illinois, so we want to help one another. But you're right, it is implied if you're part of the association system, you're part of the family, so you've made the first cut of trust. And that's always a great place to start. Instead of going to Google, where there is no trust, it's just the wild, wild west. Especially when you're talking about heavy metal parts. Now it gets very expensive when it weighs a couple of tons. To put it on a truck and truck it to Iowa, you'd rather truck it to Bensonville. So yeah, you want to keep things close to home. It's just like going to your farmer's market on Friday or Saturday morning. You want to buy locally. You don't need to get lettuce from California. Let's get it from somewhere closer. Commercial and marketing service, that is a resource that members have through their association in working with me one-on-one. And I received a resume from a nice lady. Patrick Osborne said, help her out. I said, okay, now what am I going to do? And I'm sitting in that corner office back there. She was sitting in the office with me. She was deer in the headlights. I knew how old she was. I knew she was a quality director. I knew where she lived. I knew what her certifications were. And I just said, somebody wants her of the 900. but I don't know who. So I turned her into 6 bullets, which is largely, here's how old she is, because that helps with compensation. I know nobody likes talking about age, but the members want to know from a compensation standpoint. So where she lives, how old she is, certifications, what she wants to do, and anything else that's interesting, that humanizes her. And so we sent her out to the CMS-SIG. She was person number 1, and that was in 2015. She landed a TMA member in 10 days. I heard that from the member about 2 months later. So at current time here in July, we're at number 555. So I've met an awful lot of people, turned them into 6 bullets. And I love telling this story because I love when the pandemic has a good side. I used to find a Starbucks in my travels. Based on where they lived, I would meet them somewhere in Libertyville. I would handwrite them into 6 bullets, go back to my office, type them up, and send them out. The pandemic said you can't go into a Starbucks, so now I get the resume, I get half their bullets done from their resume, I call them on the phone while I'm on the computer, and I send them out in 20 minutes, and we're done. So I'm so much more efficient. It gets them out on the street with our members even sooner. And to the best of my knowledge, because they do a terrible job of circling back and telling me what's happened, but to the best of my estimation, we land 30 to 25% of them within the membership. So a CNC programmer would probably get the most opportunities. I call them leads. They're leads for interviews. So I just call them leads. CNC programmer would be number 1. CNC operator would be number 2. And then there's a myriad of things from sales to operations managers to those things that are fairly broad across manufacturing. When you get very specific into a quality director, you still are going to get 10 to 12 to 13 leads, and you ought to be able to get 3 interviews, and you ought to be able to land 1, in theory. But to really answer your question bluntly and crudely, our members are looking for a warm body that will show up, because so many of the younger folks, the place I was just at less than an hour ago, that was our conversation. I got 13 resumes. I liked 4 of them. I had 4 of them set up for an interview. 3 of them blew me off. And the one said, I'll take the job, and then texted me later and said, no, I don't want it. So he's at 0. He's got to start all over again. So it's a new world out there. Was brought on by the board of directors back 17 years ago to help members find new customers because I had my degree is in marketing, so I go deep in the sales and marketing area. And if you try to rewind 17, 18 years ago, it's when the World Wide Web was just exploding, and you could get a website done by your daughter, and you could get a website done for $10,000. I was kind of hired to help members navigate all of those waters. And so that allowed me to meet an awful lot of members initially, because if you're doing your math through the history, we went through a thing called the Great Depression or the Great Recession, which is where members needed more customers. So that's all I was doing at that point in time. But it allowed me to get my hooks into a lot of important people within the association. I own roughly 300 of our manufacturers that I'm responsible for making sure they pay dues next time they're supposed to pay dues. So I'm out in the field meeting with them, shaking their hands as appropriate, sending them an email or a voicemail as appropriate, but watching to see where they are in their dues cycle. And so right now, being in the middle of summer, I'm pretty heavy on the January renewal people. So I've hit about 70% of them March through current. So there's those 300 that I'm focused on.
Telling you.
Boy, we've talked about the most popular things. A lot of our members pay dues because they know we're fighting for them in Springfield. They don't care how and they don't want to know how, but they know we are. I've heard that a few times, and I've actually prompted a few people, and they say, well, yeah, you're the industry, so if you were to disappear, then we'd all disappear. And I'm like, it's just the other way around. But the main reason that a human being joins a manufacturing association is for connection to people that are like you. And that's researched and that's documented, and we've all seen the numbers. And so of late, Isaac and Chris and I and Sandy have been very focused on community. It's all about rubbing shoulders with other people who are doing similar things to you. Two grandsons at age 1 and age 5 are just such a joy to be a grandparent, as you know, because I don't change diapers and I don't have to. They're in Madison, Wisconsin, so that's 2 hours away, so that's a fairly easy drive. So my wife and I make that drive about every six weeks or so. I'm a retired competitive triathlete, so I still swim, bike, and run and lift and stay healthy that way.